Hello, this is a Leshark and Friends
and Russell
and Russell podcast. And on today's show, we're talking to Dream Hotel GM and ex-professional MMA fighter Chris McDonald. Originally from Northern Ireland, Chris's journey to Phuket has taken him from Bangor to the good old US of A and then Jamaica before arriving to manage the stunning Dream Hotel and Dream Beach Club. Chris is one of the nicest people we know, and in this podcast, both myself and Russell can barely get a word in. True, very true. It's all about the bad man. I like Chris. Super cool fella. This is a good one. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
So engineering's high on your list of qualities?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good to know.
Among many.
Chris McDonald, legend, guru.
Farm owner.
Have we started?
Yeah,
we started? Yeah.
We've started, yeah.
Keep going.
Well, we'll cut out the bit about you not knowing what order of the months are. But
I don't own a farm though.
Don't what?
I don't own a farm.
You don't? Oh.
No.
I thought Chris McDonald had
I
a
just
farm.
used to sleep there for a bit
EIO.
until I got to Phuket.
I'm not sure we get subtitles on a podcast, can we? It's going to be quite tricky. Drinking his green tea.
Yeah.
Thank you for being on our little podcast.
My pleasure. You're welcome.
When did you get to Phuket?
7 years ago.
Was it that long ago?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And what was the thing that brought you here?
Work. So
feel free to elaborate.
Yeah, you could just...
I want to go with one-word answers.
Yeah.
And we'll get this done.
Great to have you on the pod, Chris.
Yeah. The only reason I know I've been here 7 years is because my son was conceived as soon as we got here. So as a typical guy, he's 6 now.
Yeah.
So a year added on.
So you were happy to be here when you arrived.
When you say as you arrived, so like physically
straight
just
out
off
the
plane,
airport.
it was like
As
wicked,
soon as we got off the plane, I thought let's have a baby.
Yeah.
Let's have a baby and ruin our double packages that we've come here for work. No. So my wife was doing her MBA in China, and then we went back to Jamaica, and a company we were working for was expanding into Asia. So they were building a hotel and beach club here, and they asked for me to come out, obviously, as the specialist. And my wife was heading up the sales and marketing department. So we came out on double work packages, didn't even think we could have kids, weren't even thinking about kids. And we had 2 kids in 18 months.
As you do.
So, yeah.
It works, mate.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
Power.
Very proud. Very proud.
What were you doing in China?
I wasn't. My wife was doing her MBA, so I didn't want to, when I got there, I didn't want to spend my savings. So I got a job as security for Mint nightclub in Shanghai, which is a quite high established nightclub there. And first of all, I turned up there and they said, listen, we can't give you the job, you're too small. And I'm like, really? I thought I hit the gym, then they give me a job there, and I basically worked for them, was like a security and bodyguard agency, and I did 5 nights a week, which is a bit tough because they still smoke over there inside, and I'm not a smoker.
Yeah.
So I'd come home every night and
Gassed out.
Gassed out, and then my wife wouldn't let me into bed. Go shower before you had to go in there. So my wife was doing her MBA, so we basically took a year out for her to do that, and then that was it. And then to be honest, I wasn't the biggest fan of Shanghai, just purely because of the hours I was working. And at the time I was training a couple of fighters to compete in India, of all places. And so that was taking up my days, but it wasn't. I grew up in Bangor, Northern Ireland, by the sea. I lived in Montego Bay for 10 years by the sea. Now I'm in Phuket by the sea, so I like living on the island, And I worked there. I wasn't a big fan, so when I went back to Jamaica and the boss said, hey, you want to go to Thailand? I'm like, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But then it worked out, and we came out, we had kids, which made it easier, and because obviously it's 12 hours difference, right, in Jamaica. So we'd go for a couple of beers and watch the fights or watch the football. Where here, it's on Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Which didn't really suit me. But then when we had the kids, it worked out that way, right? So that was it. Yeah.
So let's take it back then. So originally from
Bangor, Northern Ireland.
You're not going to do the joke?
Which bit? Which one? I've got a list.
Did you?
Okay.
Bangor, Northern Ireland, surely the joke is, did you?
No, not the way. So my mum moved from Belfast.
Whoa.
Don't be bringing up. Don't be bringing up mothers. Don't be bringing up mothers. But my mum moved from Belfast to Bangor, and as soon as she moved from there, her accent changed from a Belfast accent. Oh yes, I live in Bangor. We live by the sea. That was it. So it's Bangor according to her. So she wouldn't get your joke.
Okay. I don't think
Most
anyone
people,
would.
most
That was
people
it.
don't.
No. That was it.
But that's where you were born and brought up.
Born and raised.
Yeah.
How old are you, if I may ask?
43.
Okay.
I know I look a lot younger, but
You do look
Two
a lot
kids do
younger.
that
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
you know.
You had a hard paper round, I guess. All
yeah, I did.
uphill. Yeah.
Well, it's Northern Ireland, Bangor.
Yeah.
That was a tough time, right?
Joking aside, growing up in Northern Ireland.
Joking aside on this podcast?
Joking aside on this podcast.
Does that exist?
No. What was it like growing up in Northern Ireland at that time?
Fun.
As a kid, you don't really get it. Like I never
It's
noticed.
normal.
I take my kids back now, and it's freezing cold. I'm like, I wonder if they don't really notice it. You know, it's like we used to do all the things, go looking for tadpoles out on the rocks, all this stuff, play football outside, and it was brilliant back then. They've basically built over everything now, so the houses and all that stuff is just ridiculous. Where as a kid, you had your BMX tracks, you had your football, you had all this stuff, and the UK was great, you know, and. I never missed a beat until I left and went to America. And
How old were you when you left?
I left it. So I finished college, 2 year.
You went to school.
Yeah. Can't remember it, but I got the student loan to prove it though. Yeah. So I went there, did a diploma for 2 years, and thought I might take a year out. So I took a year out working for what used to be Tesco's crazy prices at the time, stacking shelves. And my mum said, "Listen, you're a bum. I'm sending you to America on an internship." And I'm like, "What?" And she sent me off to America for a year, where I met my wife when I was 21, and that was it.
Far out.
And then Bangor didn't seem that good anymore when you're living in Florida.
Just before we get to that bit though, so the first 20 years of your life in Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
Just there, you didn't sort of travel much around, or?
No, my father worked for, opened his own business when he was 18 for dry cleaners, and in the 80s
Sorry,
they
for
made
a drag queen.
dry
cleaners.
clean. That's why I was used to coming when I got here. Nothing I wasn't used to.
Dad's done it. Brilliant.
I went down to Bangor Road. Oh, there's Dad. And then I realised it wasn't him.
A dry cleaner.
Dry cleaners.
Okay, there you go.
And he did really well in the 80s. So we used to go away on holiday twice a year, 3 times a year, whether it's Lanzarote or whatever, and then or else up to Port Stewart, where we drive an hour up to Port Stewart. And that's when the weather was good, and you know we're actually good. And we actually had a summer, you know, like that type of thing.
On a Tuesday.
Before climate change. Huh?
Before climate change, yeah. But it was great upbringing. And like I said, we go to Gran Canaria, Tenerife every year, like twice a year.
Sweet.
Doing well.
We'll get into obviously your performance art, which is of fighting, in more detail. Don't look at me like that. I'm just trying to make it.
Well,
sound
I'd like to think general manager of a hotel is a bit of an art, but if you want to go,
No, to be fair.
thank you so much, Russell. Thank you, Russell.
That's all right.
This is good cop, bad cop, right? This is what's happening here. Damn it.
When did you start boxing?
I didn't realize. So, you know, growing up in Northern Ireland, you're in every kid's like, who's the toughest in your class and all this stuff. But a good friend of mine, Mark Reid, his father used to box for the police. So he took us a couple of times, me and Mark, and we just put on the gloves and started messing about from there. And then a lot of my mates, as I went to 18, 19, and then when I came back to Ireland from America and Jamaica, a lot of my mates were boxers. So I started doing some work with them, and then a good friend of mine, Coach Colin Blair, came out to help me in Jamaica, and I just loved the boxing. But when I started the MMA career, I'd work with him a bit more.
So you didn't do boxing in America?
No.
And
I did drinking.
Yeah. But what was the internship?
It was 5 beers for $5.
Exactly.
So nothing much else you could do.
What was the internship? Well, no. What was the idea that your mum had when she sent you off to the States?
It was a what do you call it? It was a tourism and hospitality. So after when I finished that, I came back and did my degree. But it was a tourism and hospitality internship. So we worked at a big timeshare resort. We ran activities there, and there was different things. And we even hosted a casino night there, where all the people would come in and play fake poker, and we'd have to entertain them for 2 hours and stuff like that there.
Where was that?
Florida, Orlando.
Okay.
And we worked for
Westgate
Lakes, all David Siegel's properties, all timeshare that made a mint back in the day, you know. So yeah, but then so we do activities all day, and one of them was basketball, so I just swapped that out and basically play basketball all day, and then met a good friend from down South Ireland, and he was my drinking partner. So for the first internship, we didn't really remember much of it.
That's usually how it works.
And my
So
mum sent me with money for the year I'm supposed to be there, and that ran out in 3 weeks. So
just a chunk of money there.
it was just a chunk of money gone.
That last.
Yeah,
No worries at all.
Yeah. And we had to live off. They were only paying us $150 every 2 weeks. So So my mum's like, no, you're not getting any more money. You got to live off. You got to live off that, which was you think would be difficult, but it was all right. You put some frozen
When
chips in the oven, and you're good to go. You know.
When you have to, you have
Yeah,
to.
yeah. That was it.
And then you met your wife. Was she working at the resorts with you?
Yes, she Westgate Villas, and so that was really it. It wasn't really love at first sight. I was in trouble with the
police.
thing, and she was there. No, the police. No, I was in trouble with the supervisor at the time, which was just an offset because usually I'm getting promoted, and I ended up in trouble with this one. So, but she was there, and she says, "Oh, who's the troublemaker?" I said, "I'm not a troublemaker," and it started from there, and that was it. We got together. I was 21, turning 22. She was 19. Been together 22 years now.
Wow.
Far out.
And she's
Well, you would think that, wouldn't you? You would think that.
she's obviously from Jamaica. So when did you then go to Jamaica?
Nearly straight. So I left my internship after 9 months. I didn't want to stay for the full year, basically because $150 was hard to live off. I thought I want to get home. I miss my friends. But in America, you lived with 200 people, all interns. So it was a full, not a party scene, but you had a lot of good people there, all from different countries. Then you get back home to Ireland, and you're phoning doors, only knocking at the weekend.
Yeah.
You know, so it was quite depressing. And then obviously I fell in love with my wife, and I thought, this is and she went back to finish her degree in Jamaica. So literally after 3 months back there, my mother says, "You're really unhappy," so she sent me there. I'm like, "Mum, I'm getting the impression you don't want me. You could have did this younger." But so I ended up then in Jamaica, got picked up to the airport, and
By the police or by her?
by her auntie.
Okay,
So you would
right.
say the police.
Yeah.
And she took us to get to her place. We had to go through a few ghettos, and I'm like, "Do you live here? Do you live here?" She goes, "No." I'm like, okay, when we get into your house and stuff, and I was like, "Yo, no love is worth this much," because we're going through those areas. But then I end up, I think it was 6 months there, went back to save some more, and then Carol came to Ireland for 3 years. Well, I went back to do my degree, which is tourism hospitality, and she worked in, the only jobs you get at that level was a call centre at the time because of her visa.
And whereabouts was that?
In Bangor.
Oh, okay,
Bangor.
right. Bangor.
And then she kept getting promoted for the call centre, and she went back to Jamaica and got a pretty high profile job. And then the company that she was working for asked me to come out there and help them on the construction end of things, and the handover of operations was basically what I did here. So I do construction, and then I do a lot of operations because my degree is in tourism hospitality. So that's basically how I ended up here as well.
Okay.
But that was it.
What did you think of Jamaica?
Loved it.
Yeah?
Absolutely loved it. Yeah, I mean, as you know, when I was fighting professionally, you know, the jerk chicken, their fast food is healthy food. And I go back there every year with the kids, and I eat that, you know, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, it's amazing. I had an Irish bar with really good friends and another good friend from Jamaica that were sponsoring me during that process, and we were all into any sport that was really on TV. And I just loved it. Her family were great, and you know, there's a lot of haggling there, like, "Hey man, give me money, give me money." So when I go back with the kids and they're banging on the car, I'm a little wary of that sometimes. Where here, like even my first 6 months here, I didn't want to be here. I'm like, I want to go back to Jamaica. Like I built my life there and I loved it there. And then the kids came, and this became more suitable for that environment, and that was it. But I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I worked in Antigua for 3 years, and I loved Antigua.
Yeah.
Once you get into it, it took a bit of time.
That's the thing, because when people like, when you have people come out, "Hey man, give me this," and then you realize there's actually a sense of humor behind it. But some people don't get that, and you have to become ingrained in the culture where you realize that they also have a sense of humor. When you start talking back to them, it was
and it did take
It's
time.
non-threatening.
I mean, I also found it, not going down the racism route, but when I was there, obviously I'm a white, and they called me White Boy.
Yeah,
that was
of
my
course,
name,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
took it, you
yeah.
know. And I was playing football, and I was the only white guy playing football.
Yeah.
You know, and you're getting called White Boy, but once you give it back to them, and you know,
No,
they're
they're
good
very
friends.
100%. But they're very honest culture. So
Yeah.
the first time I was on my job, this guy goes, "You're a white boy." I'm like, "Well, that's not. You know, I'm a manager and you're not." I said, "My name's Chris, not White Boy." So they had this lady over selling juice in the corner, and she's a big girl, right? And they go, "Oi, fat girl, bring me this." And I'm like, and she got the juice, give him it. I'm like, "Hey, yo, come over here." I said, You you can't call her fatty, or you can't call her that. He goes, why not?
She
And
is.
she's like, you know, yeah.
She's Big Mama from Big Mama House.
He can call me fatty, and it was such an honest culture. They describe you exactly how you look, and I was like, if I could call anyone in Ireland fat woman, they would kill you, you know.
And also, if that lovely lady who was serving the juice didn't like it, she would slap the shit out of
yeah,
her.
100%. But just the honesty, we had a dwarf. They called him Tall Man. They had a tall man. They called him Short Man. We had a really good guy. He had cancer in his knee, so he had the limp. They called him Hopalong. Sorry, they called him Cripple. I'm like, you can't call him Cripple. And then we had a Chinese contractor, and he'd come in and goes, haha, Jamaica Hopalong, China Hopalong, because he hurt his ankle. It was just, to be fair, it was a comedy show from 9 to 5, and meeting these guys from a completely different culture, growing up with backgrounds, you know, that aren't that privileged, and just hearing them talk all day it was a pleasure. I loved it, just absolutely loved it.
So you were there after your degree.
Yeah.
You went back there with Carol. And how long were you there for in that stretch?
When I went back there, I was there for 8 years.
Okay.
Because they'd given me a job, and then when we finally were settled in the country, we got engaged, then got married. We stayed there working for that company for another 5 years after marriage, and then they brought me, and then that was the end of the job, finished.
So, in all this, where did the fight career come into it?
So I started.
Damn you, Russell. That was my question.
Just
He was so excited.
edit. I think Jay's got a question.
Go ahead, Jay.
So when did the fight career all start?
Oh, that's a good question. I hadn't
Thank you,
thought
Russell.
about that.
Probably. But I broke, just before I came to see Carol, I broke my leg playing football. So I was supposed to go back to Jamaica, but I broke 3 bones in my ankle. And I told my mother I'd take up something safer. I won't go back in the football field. And I ended up going to Lisburn, who was Tom Lamont, who was quite a scary character. This whole place had an aura to it. And I started learning in there for I'm sorry, I was learning there before that, but even after, for a year or so. And then when I went to Jamaica, I thought, that's the end of that. I got to work now, knuckle down, be serious. And then they were putting these fights on in Trinidad, and they asked me to come down, my very first fight, to be co-main event. So I had opened a gym in Jamaica called...
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
So why did you go and start? Because you'd done boxing, and you were just boxing with your mates. But when did the MMA?
So the MMA was in Ireland. Well, after I broke my leg, I went and trained at Tom Lamont's.
But why did you want to do that? What was it that drove you? Said, you know what?
My brother got me into watching the UFC from the early days, and it wasn't the fact that I'm a thug or not. I just literally the competition level of it.
Sorry,
A thug. I thought the competition level was so high, and then when I started training it, realizing how hard it was. You know, a lot of fighters do this stuff to discover who they are. I think one fight I broke 3 ribs and it was pretty bad, my hands and stuff, but I kept going. And I wanted to know, where's
my end game?
Would you quit? And I didn't. And then that was really it. So I started in Ireland and thought when I got to Jamaica, this is over. And then they asked me down to Trinidad. I just put my name forward, and they brought me down to fight a pretty good guy who turned out to be a good friend, Dwayne Hines. And I fought him on my first fight down in Trinidad.
In a cage? So
No, this one was the first one was in a ring.
Right, okay.
The second one then they gave me a shot at the title.
And this was your second fight?
Second fight.
Ever?
Yeah, second fight against Caleb Edwards. Because the level there at the time, the Caribbean was just growing and just started with the sport.
Some people call it the Caribbean, but you can call it that. If you
Yeah. But there was a couple of the second show, this guy got knocked out, then they woke him up and asked him if they want to continue. So they didn't fully understand. I'm like, I could die here, from my wife. I may not be coming back from Trinidad. So that was quite. But then everyone I fought up down there were really well educated people that just picked us up the sport, that did judo all their lives. Your kids are doing jiu-jitsu and just it's like going to school. You go to a good school or you go to do jiu-jitsu. It teaches you values, and stuff like that there. So a lot of these people, fighting in a cage, and they're probably the nicest people you ever meet. I went to an after party once in Belfast, and we went into the VIP room, all fighters, and the banter was great.
Yeah.
There was 15 fights out in the nightclub of people that obviously come to watch it, But so that's how I got started, and I won the belt after the second fight, and then the third fight I defended against a pretty scary guy from Tobago who was just huge and massive guy, and then he broke my nose actually in the third fight, and then Jamaica decided to put on 3, so I had 6 fights in Jamaica. which I didn't lose, and then my sponsor started paying me to go over to the UK and stuff like that there.
So who are you fighting for in the UK?
Fighting for?
Or the different groups?
No, my group. So I've teamed. My gym was called Team Dungeon in Jamaica.
Right.
And IBG, which is my coach Pat McPherson in Indiana, they would come down and bring fighters down for me to spar with, and then I had friends, Chris Stringer, Ali McLean, fighting in Team Cabon in London, and my sponsor would pay for these guys to come to Jamaica and get me ready for the fights, or I'd go up to Indiana, which was quite a contrast. You're going from 40 degrees heat to snow this side, and you're like, yeah, this is pretty rough, you know? Yeah.
Very Rocky 4-esque.
Yeah.
What sort of money do people get paid for this? Because obviously you're not the
money
aside, but you're not UFC level where they get paid stupid
No,
amounts. But
no.
how far has it come down? What are you getting for a fight?
Back then you'd be getting like 1,500 or whatever, but I never really. I was making enough money at my job. I wasn't really doing it for that. I was doing it because I just loved to do it. But then I loved the experience, like the fear of going in there, and that's what keeps you sharp. I lost my last few fights because like, oh yeah, it's my turn, let's go, and I didn't feel that nervousness or fear.
Right.
I just thought that's just another, let's duke it out type of thing, and my sponsor would pay me to come over to see my family, and I thought win-win.
Yeah, exactly. What could go wrong?
One fight for that, It went very wrong.
Russell, have you ever been to an MMA fight?
Live, no.
No. It's nuts.
Have you been?
I went to one in London at Ali Pali. A friend I was working
Well, London can be nuts.
Yeah, you're right about that. In the cage, I mean, the guys were just brutal. Just to see it live and hear it live is unbelievable. You're right, the crowd were the most scariest thing
But
to me. I was more nervous of the crowd, and it kicked off in the crowd because two rival, didn't like each other, and they were calm down, everyone leave it in the ring and stuff.
It's the same as football. You go to a football match and you have your Liverpool, Everton, and they can't sit together.
Yeah.
But you go to a rugby match, you can sit there. I'm in England and Ireland, and I'm sitting there in the England section.
Yeah.
And it's like you can sit there, but MMA is a lot like the football crowd.
It's the tribalistic thing. You follow that, but no, it was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Amazing experience.
Well, I fought in Alloa in Scotland, which was you were actually in there competing, and there was fights going on in the crowd while you were competing, and you were like, yeah, I just need to go now.
Yeah.
And even my friend who's huge, he goes, yeah, can we just get the first? I said, no, we'll go out for a drink. He goes, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. This is the middle of winter in Scotland, Alloa. He's like, how'd you end up here? I'm like, I don't know.
So how many fights have you had in total?
16 pro.
Okay.
That's just MMA.
Okay.
And then
what's your win-loss record?
I had 10 wins, 6 losses.
And what's your weight category?
I was welterweight, or I was middleweight champion in the Caribbean.
Okay.
And then or the Caribbean.
Thank you.
I just remember that. And then I was, and then I fought for the ISK belt in Ireland, which I lost.
Sweet.
And it's not sweet losing.
That's not the best thing to say.
No, I don't mean
Say that
sweet.
to a massive fighter.
I don't mean sweet on the
next to you.
loss. I mean sweet. No, it's great.
But I think the best one I had, I was in the Odyssey Arena, which was the new thing in Ireland, Belfast at the time. And I opened the show, and I came out with Northern Ireland shirts on. The crowd went nuts, and I thought I was pretty big underdog. Like this guy had 14-3 at the time, and it was actually there was UFC fighter Jeremy Horn headlining it, and Rich Clemente fought on the show, and I was like, yeah, they've really screwed me over here. And if you know these shows, like the bass of the music, when you just know it's your turn, I'm like, it's quite daunting. And it's on YouTube. It was actually on HBO as well, and I knocked him out in 19 seconds.
What was your walking music?
You showed me the video.
They actually they actually give you music for that one.
You can't choose it.
No, in other shows you can. I think I used to come into Kanye West, I'm Amazing, which I thought that was quite.
I think that's quite apt for you.
That's pretty subtle, you know.
Yeah. It was I'm Amazing. That one was just
Have you seen the change in MMA that started off more kind of underground, just fighting in a cage, to now it's almost got to the level of
celebrity?
Not celebrity is the wrong word, but it's almost become more of a show, as in, almost like a wrestling show. Now they walk in, and all the build-up now almost seems like they're told, right, you got to do these promos. Yeah. And I was watching the other day, they've almost got the top 10 now, and it's like it's almost going up a league. Is that where it's going to?
I think the bad thing about it is some of these rivalries are manufactured. Yeah. Where, like, I think when Conor McGregor was getting beat by Khabib, and he just whispered in the cage, it's just business, and Khabib's like, no, it's not. You were talking about my family and stuff. Like, that was not manufactured. Yeah. Maybe on Conor's side it was, but on his side it definitely wasn't. Oops. So you get some of these where, and then you see them shaking hands before the fight, and you're like, well, You don't really hate each other. So some of it's too much. Like the other fighter, Colby Covington, came out, and now he's pretending like he's a Trump supporter and doing this and being very loud and obnoxious. And I guess first 3 fights he was never like that. And then he started telling, I did this to start getting paid. And it still annoys me because people buy into that. You know, where back in the day there was only one fight, only one big show every month, where it was Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell. And you would sit in to watch that, and you were nervous watching it. Now there's a show every week or 2 shows every week, where for me it's become diluted. You still have your real fighters come along, but it's a bit diluted, you know. Where
Chuck Liddell was amazing, and he shouldn't have kept going.
No. You seen that third fight with Tito, did you?
Oh, awful.
He looked literally 60, didn't he?
But no, I grew up. I wouldn't say grew up. I was watching Chuck Liddell, and there was Matt Hughes. It was all that. That's my when
he picked up Frank Trigg and took him across. Like, you got goosebumps watching that. It was once. It was one. Yeah. It was once. It was once a month.
Yeah.
But now it's.
But even Randy Couture, you'd build up to him. I've got all their book. I was really, really into it. They were the real character. They were real fighters. They were real brawlers, and it was lovely. And then
you didn't need to talk then.
No, you didn't.
You didn't need to talk.
You didn't at all.
You did talking in the ring.
Yeah. Like Robbie Lawler was a savage, and he didn't talk at all. But you just knew that this is going to be a war. Like him and Nick Diaz when they fought, they talk in the cage. You know, they're talking in the cage.
But I think that's also part of it. Like you mentioned earlier. Not necessarily for you personally, but for a lot of fighters, I'm not doing this for the glory and the belts and the money. I'm doing it. I want to see for myself if I can do this, how far I can push myself and learn about me.
It's a journey.
And back in those early days with UFC, that's all you had because it wasn't mainstream.
So
you weren't trying to get a contract or anything. You were just doing it to see.
And then they started the Ultimate Fighter, and people started to get contracts. And for the first 5 shows, that was cool. But then after 16 shows, like anything,
it's all about ratings.
You're not going to watch. Like, well, Big Brother 1 and 2, and then you're on number 18. You're like, why are they still?
Exactly.
You know.
But that's why you have to have these rivalries and all this, the fanfare and the bullshit that kind of goes with it.
I got questions because I'm a bit of a fan of fighting. Not that I'm very good.
I heard you weren't.
No, I wasn't. You're right. I did.
He let the other guy win.
Listen,
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
I wish
I also heard that as well.
I wish I'd let the 30-year-old Brazilian jiu-jitsu expert, kickboxer.
I heard Jay's the biggest show outside the ring. His entrance is unbelievable, and you'd pay to watch just the entrance.
When it comes to presentation,
it didn't. The skill didn't match up with the entrance.
Feather boas, glasses. Selfie stick,
the Ric Flair of
oh, absolutely! I loved it. It was the best thing I'd ever done, and then I got my ass kicked for however many minutes it was. And
which wasn't the best thing.
No, but what I enjoyed about it was because I'd never really done fighting before ever, and so I did it. I was really scared going into the training because it's an intimidating thing walking into a Muay Thai gym.
It's intense.
And especially when you're an idiot like me, that's a bit cheeky and a bit kind of trying to make a joke because that's how I do things. And you're walking in with these guys who can just absolutely destroy
we just
me.
find you annoying. We're like, okay, it's your turn now. It's your turn now.
But it was... Getting knocked out for the first time was interesting. I mean...
Well, you got knocked out? It was that bad?
In sparring, I got knocked out.
Oh, in sparring?
In sparring, I got knocked... Yeah, I got punched by... I'd never... And it just the ringing and the...
But why... But how long were you training when that happened?
They put me sparring pretty early on. They would do sparring straight away.
You can't be doing that.
But it's Muay Thai, you know. It's like throw him in at the deep end. Let's beat the crap out of him.
No, but even that, you know, if you train with people around you and stuff, like you get a lot of like. I train at Tiger Muay Thai a lot, and I love training there. And I just train with my friends or the professionals that are that level. But there's some guys that come in there are just. You know, there's no filter. They just literally they're there to knock you out. I'm like, yo, mate, you know, if you knock me out, you know you won't have a sparring partner the next day. You don't. No, don't worry. And they're like, don't worry, there'll be someone out tomorrow as well.
Yeah.
You know, you're like. So that shouldn't really be happening when you're just doing that, you know. And the gloves should be big enough, or the person with you should be taking you around, realizing your skill.
But I also think it comes down to your sparring partner. If that person was a novice as well. Then you kind of just put us in together.
Oh, you got knocked out by a novice?
Yeah. I'm not saying knocked out. I mean,
so what are you then?
Say novice.
What are you then? Novice, beginner?
Me? I was an idiot. I was just there for the show. All I wanted to do was a WWF entrance.
The entrance.
All I cared about was the entrance, and I did the entrance. I had the live guitarist who wrote his own song, so I had my own song written for me. Live guitarist walking around.
It's so true, though. Yeah,
it was brilliant.
Yeah,
and
I
loved the smoke at the start, and it was great. And because Mike Swick was there. Watching, and it was first time that Facebook Live was Facebook Live, and he had it because you could only get Facebook Live if you were a celebrity or you were blue tick. And he had it, and I remember looking back at the comments of everyone slagging me off. Who's the geezer with the feather boa? He's going to get his ass kicked. Fuck him, he's a dick. But no, it was horrible. The guy kicked the crap out of me. But I mean, not the same as you. But it was interesting that I realised that I could keep getting up. And it was, and I understand what you're saying about, you got to push yourself. It's like, right, okay, he's kicked me 58 times in this leg. This leg's now purple. I'm going to keep getting up. And how many times can you keep getting up?
That's what it's about,
But yeah, it was the ribs and the leg kicks. He just destroyed my whole left
Listen,
side.
you respect anyone that gets in there. And then when you realise, well, like even my first 2 fights where they ended, the second one didn't. I nearly ran out of cardio, but I didn't really get hit much in it. But the third fight, when he cracked me and broke my nose, I'm like, oh, this isn't fun, I was still thinking about my entrance. You're like, what's going on here? I came up with this song for a long time, and this isn't fun anymore. And you felt the leather, then the thing coming down your mouth, and you're like, this is.
Was that the first time you'd ever broken your nose?
Yeah, well, here's a good story. So apparently, I by accident I broke a friend's nose in sparring, and he says, "Let's stop." And I limited sparring partners back then. I said, "Mate, come on." I said, "Your nose isn't broke." He goes, "I have, because I broke it 9 times through rugby." So I took him to the hospital, and the doctor said, "Yeah, we'll go look at your nose." I said, "I can't believe I've never broke my nose," and he laughed at me. And I said, "But in fighting, like, it wasn't the nose, the ribs I knew the next day, but the nose, I was like." It was just, you just got hit in the nose. You know the adrenaline. Yourself, like you probably take about 20 more leg kicks that you could when you're just sparring, because in the fight it's the adrenaline. But that was a big So apparently, because my septum's closed on this side nearly, so about, I don't know, it could be 3, but I knew when I broke it, but I didn't know it was broke. I never went to the hospital to get it fixed. I just thought. I broke my hand once, didn't go to the hospital.
It doesn't look. You still look beautiful, by the way.
I thought so. Throw my hair back as well.
You're very nice.
Call me the boy band fighter.
You're very calm and nice I think people would think if you're a fighter or an MMA fighter, there's a demeanour about them, and people would think that you're a crazy nutter. But you're not. The first time I met you a few years back, you were very calm and cool, and you're just a nice guy.
Yeah, this is him with the green tea and not a few beers.
Depends where you're coming from. You get a lot of fighters out of like Dagestan are very that intimidated. But I grew up playing a lot of different sports: rugby, football, tennis, everything. And I mean, it's probably called an education, And when I went to school, parents did well bringing me up. I did this for competition, and that was basically it. But don't get me wrong. If you put me in there, I'm there to win, and that was it. Like if you met me in the cage, it might not be I might not ask you how you are.
No,
stuff like that. There.
Until afterwards.
Until
How are you? You're right.
Sorry about that, mate. You're a good lad. Thanks for doing this.
Just the entrance song. That's what it was.
Thanks for doing this. Let's get your feathers and get out of here.
Did you have a nickname?
Yeah.
Well, what was it?
Yes, I did. Anyway, move on.
Should we guess it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, what do you reckon? Chris the Destroyer Mac.
Oh, that's nice. I thought you were going to say Big Nose or something.
No.
The Irish bomber, but maybe not.
No, that's probably not the best one to use.
From Northern Ireland. So
it
might not work.
Good political.
Might not work when you're coming from Northern Ireland to fight in Dublin. Where you go?
You wouldn't go down the leprechaun route. You wouldn't use the green.
No,
or the
because
Irish,
6 foot.
Yeah.
Well, actually, play on words.
Yeah. Chris the Wee Man.
Yeah.
Close.
Oh.
Chris we actually got it from Jamaica. So I was on a construction site in Jamaica, and these
Chris
boys.
the Ting.
No, the Ting. Yeah. Gin and Ting. And this kid, they were like giving me a hard time. I said, if you have issues here, we'll sort them out. And one guy goes, yo, the white man, a bad man, he's the bad man.
Oh, Chris the Bad Man.
So they called me Chris the Bad, and everyone was funny. Like, why is he calling himself? I just thought it was. But then, when you go to Ireland, like, oh, this guy called him. You go back home to Ireland, and this guy called him the Bad Man, thinking it was serious. I said, no, it's da Bad Man, and I got it purely from a humorous conversation in Jamaica.
D.A. Bad.
D.A. the Bad Man.
I can see that.
And I made that so when the fight was on the HBO with the American comedy, I said, don't be putting up Bad Man, put up da Bad Man. I want my peeps back in Jad and that I'm here, and that was it.
What was your discipline of choice? Are you more stand-up?
I didn't. I was just very average at everything. But
right.
yeah, I love boxing. I grew up watching all the Tyson, Bruno, all those fights. I love boxing. And then I got really into the jiu-jitsu. And then Dwayne Hines, who I beat my first fight, he came to Jamaica. I taught him boxing and he taught me wrestling. And I got really into the wrestling because he was a superior wrestler. And I learned a lot from him, and I really started loving the wrestling and studying the wrestling, because when you go back to the UK, if it's wrestling, you decide where the fight goes. So if my wrestling's good and you've got good stand-up, I'll take you down.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and I'm a boxer, you won't take me down because I have that wrestling base. And so we moved him to Jamaica for 2 years, give him a job. My sponsors did. So he ran the Irish bar, which was Twisted Kilt at the time, and he then taught me wrestling. I taught him boxing, and we took it from there. And I had boxing coaches come in from Northern Ireland, and coaches come in from England and America. So we just studied the game, and there was a lot of competition between me and him, because he actually fought on ONE FC. Yeah, he's quite a high level, and.
How that company doesn't make any money, how it's still going.
I don't know, and the guy that does it owns Evolve as well, doesn't he? But
they're burning through money.
Apparently.
Yes, you do. When was your last fight?
Be in a minute, Russ, if you don't shut
up. I think when I'm 43 now, I think when I was just turning 39.
Okay.
And I realised that I shouldn't really be in there, and I fought a guy that actually beat me for the ISK title. And he knocked me out with a body shot when I didn't really condition my body either. And I was just like, eh. And I was just like, yeah, I'm tired of, I'm turning up here, and whether it was underprepared or a lot of injuries and stuff like that there.
The fun's gone.
Yeah.
Did you take your gloves off and leave them in the middle of the cage?
No.
Just walk off?
Yeah.
No, because they were free. So, back then you're like, I'm not leaving these here, I'll use them for spar. Yeah, exactly. But no, so that was it. That was quite good. It was in Belfast on a show called Clan Wars. So that was pretty. It was pretty good.
Okay, look.
So do you miss the competition?
Yeah, that's why I'm playing tennis now.
I was going to say. So let's get into you've the competition you're missing. You've now replaced with playing tennis.
No, really. I got back into trying to get fit again, doing jiu-jitsu here at Gracie Barra with Nando. And then doing boxing over Tiger Muay Thai, and I was getting fit. Sorry, the first 2 weeks I thought, I'm too old for this, I need to give up. I was sore, knackered, and then all of a sudden my fitness started to change. I thought, oh no, I can do this. And then I got injured again, and then I was like, so let me flip over to the tennis here, back and forth. You get injured more playing tennis than sometimes you do fighting, like the knee injuries and everything. I just hurt my back there last weekend at tennis, and it's pretty abysmal,
It's also like with rugby and with football, you'll get a lot more of those sort of niggly little injuries
rugby's
with
brutal,
football.
Man.
It is, but also when you take an impact injury, it's a little bit different to taking one of those when you twist your ankle, that little niggle with the tendon takes forever. Whereas with an impact injury, you're injured, you take a bit of time, you come back and you're fine. That's the difference.
Yeah. So that was really it, and then I don't have much time now because I was, like I said, I was the owner's representative for Dream, which was the hotel and beach club here, which was the finance and strategy. And then a good friend of mine who was the general manager, Chris Adams, just left the company to continue with, he started up a new business, Book Tech Labs, which is an online booking agent for all these things around here. So he's moved on, so now I've taken over those duties where I'm like, okay, there's no tennis and there's no this now because you're a little busier compared to what you were doing, But I played tennis since I was younger, and then Sumi got me back. You know Sumi, right?
Yeah.
She got me back into it here. We call in the tennis world we call her Judas Sumi.
You called her what?
Judas Sumi. So she called my wife and says, "I'm in a competition. Can your husband play tennis?" And my wife said, "Well, he's played before." So when I turned up to the tournament, she'd subbed me out for somebody else. I said, "What do you mean? I thought we're supposed to be." She goes, "No. I've got a guy." I said, "Yeah, but," he goes, "No, you're going with that." And so I went with Fauzia. And me and Fauzia ended up making the final.
So Sumi dropped you?
She dropped me.
Because she didn't think you were good enough?
She didn't think I was good enough.
That's awesome, that is. I wish we'd known that prior to the pod.
And then so me and Fauzia made the final. So then she calls my wife, "Well, you didn't tell me he was that good." He was, "Well, it's Chris, he just plays sports."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yes, to me." So I always told her, "I'll never play with you again. Anytime you want to ask me," or whatever the deal is. But the band is good. Sumi can play. Sumi's good.
Can she?
Play. Yeah,
Do you play tennis a lot?
She plays tennis. Who? Me or her?
Yeah, no, you. We've had swimming in a pub before.
I want to be honest, mate. I've never taken a lesson. I turn up whenever they're having one of these tournaments, just because of the competition. I don't take it that seriously. I've did my sport where I tried to get to the level and failed. So now I'm in so I'm just playing tennis where I turn up and just playing the tournaments, because we're in a Russian tournament right now and they take it very, very seriously. So the competition's quite.
Have you got time to? When's that start? You've got to get back to it or not?
Yeah.
No, I just won the final last Sunday. Did I bring that up yet? No, so I just played.
And that was the Russian tournament.
That was the Russian tournament. So they've had about.
My jokes are wasted on you sometimes, aren't they?
I know.
They really are.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Russian.
Yeah.
It's the corn.
Yeah.
It's the corn. The Korea. Yeah, I didn't get up to it.
Son,
If you want, my son can take my place. He'll get those ones.
Is this the fact that this morning we both looked at each other when we was dropping the kids off, and you went, "How are you?" I said, "It's Friday morning."
Yeah.
That was our
It's
conversation.
just good to go. Yeah, when you have kids, it's a long week, huh?
Yeah.
Wouldn't change it though. Yeah,
So
but
you've won 2 tournaments in a row.
But not in a row. They've did 5 tournaments over lockdown. I made the final one, came 4th. The worst one was I came 4th in one. I played the semi-final. I lost the semi-final after 3.5 hours. So anyone that says singles tennis is really difficult. And then I played the 3rd and 4th playoff the next day, and that was 3 hours 10 minutes. And I'm like, that's literally 7 hours I could have been in the bar.
Yeah.
I've just wasted my weekend here.
Does anyone really care about 3rd and 4th play in a?
Yeah, I've never understood.
No, listen, not really, but
No.
to be honest, I was playing a really good guy, Andre, and it was a good back and forth. And if it's a good match, it's a good match. But yeah, as soon as I don't get to the final, I sort of course, you
Tune
lose
out.
interest. Yeah.
Fair enough.
For sure, yeah.
Because I never understand about even in the World Cups, the 3rd and 4th
No,
playoff.
which,
It's just-
I understand it from a monetary point of view, but in terms of from
no
a
one
playing
cares.
but no one gives a shit. Even
No
the
one
players,
No
no one
cares.
gives a toss.
Yeah,
Do you
like
play-
they'll always play their weaker teams or give everyone a game if it's
Yeah,
3rd
yeah.
and 4th playoff.
Have
yeah.
you ever played tennis?
yeah.
So that's a no.
You should see his entrance.
Honestly,
He's good with the balls.
I'm not. I play tennis. I wouldn't say I do enjoy running around. I'm not very good. I can't hit topspin. I
Can't imagine that.
No, honestly, I do that little slicey shot, and everyone gets upset because I make it backspin, and I laugh, and then.
Yeah.
But no, I can hit the ball over the net.
Okay.
But I wouldn't say I'm very good.
Well, that's fine then.
Anyway, I'm table tennis. I kick your ass.
Ooh,
I'm
now
like
there's a
national
challenge.
table tennis
Oh,
champion.
if you want to go, we can go on table
Oh,
tennis.
hello.
Right, no, hang on a
Hello.
minute. Yeah, all
I'll
right.
take you both on.
I'll take you both on at table tennis and a bit of
There's nothing
racquetball.
with the bat and ball that I can't do.
Yeah, table tennis, squash, racquetball. I'm all over it. I played tennis.
I never played squash, racquetball.
Racquetball and
Did you
squash
play
are
that?
great. Yeah,
Squash is good. Racquetball was just a bouncier version of squash.
it's a faster version
So
of
what
squash.
happened to
but
you as a child that you had to play squash?
Oh, Russell was very
So-
privileged.
easy.
Was it?
Very
Was that what it
privileged.
was?
very, very simple,
Golf
easy.
and
Yeah,
squash.
yeah, yeah.
Grew up playing tennis.
Of course he did, with his private coach.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Did you?
yeah, I did. I
Yeah.
was quite a half decent player. Thank you very much.
What
Back
were
in the day.
What were the dogs doing when you were doing this?
Chasing the ball.
The world
Fetching the balls back.
That's what the world, yeah.
Because he hit him so bad.
Him in the park. Just him.
That's what
me.
became.
Get the German Shepherd on the line. Was
Yeah,
it out?
yeah,
No.
yeah.
He was so getting tired running after the balls all the time. He kind of dog trainer. Now just go get it, bring it back.
But no, I grew up playing tennis, and that was my go-to thing. But then when I went to uni in the UK, playing tennis is get expensive and be it rains.
Oh yeah.
So just switched to squash and then got into racquetball, which I really love racquetball.
What's racquetball?
It's
Bounce your squash.
an American version of squash.
Oh, with
basically.
the paddle, almost like a table tennis bat without
Almost,
the cushion.
No, it's a hybrid between a tennis racket and a squash racket.
It's for
slightly
people
bigger
that
head.
don't play sports.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
what
it's,
it is.
from a fitness perspective, it's
Yeah.
really good because it's
Yeah.
like playing squash, but the ball just
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
die.
yeah,
So you
for
just carry on
sure,
going and
yeah.
going and going.
I was alright at squash.
I'd like to get back into tennis. I keep threatening to do it, but
You should come over. Sumi needs
Yeah.
a partner.
yeah.
She won't pick me, that's for sure. I was more basketball and football. That was
Well, I
my
played a lot of in Florida. I played a lot of love basketball.
Yeah, no, I
Love
played in
watching
America.
It, everything.
I did too.
Same.
Love
Where were you in
playing.
America?
Virginia.
Sorry, just give me the microphone, guys. I'm taking over the Virginia.
Yeah,
Wow.
just outside DC. I was there. My dad was in oil, so we went over there just for a year.
So, worked at Langley for a little while.
Do you know what? I was
CIA,
the worst.
yeah.
I was the worst basketball player ever in America. As soon as I got back to the UK,
Best.
the best basketball.
Oh yeah,
player
yeah, no doubt.
ever.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
But that's what I'm
Unbelievable.
saying about MMA. The wrestling in America, then you come over to the UK and they've
But
only
there isn't
started
a
learning
wrestling
wrestling.
background. I mean, the only wrestling in the UK was Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks.
You
But that's what
remember?
it
I
was,
watched
yeah.
them in Bangor.
Saturday morning.
I watched them in Bangor.
Oh, did you?
In the Bangor Leisure Centre.
Wow.
No way.
Yeah.
But that was
I cried when I was really young, and I cried when I thought he was going to get me. Jan Haystack.
He was nasty. He was
yeah, he was.
huge.
was horrible, wasn't he?
scary though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was the wrestling that you knew. You didn't know about in America. Obviously, wrestling is a very different sport. The college wrestling and the high school wrestling is very different. And you didn't have that back
You
then.
go to clothesline, someone to take your legs out. What are you guys doing? You madman.
So how's it all going now with the whole COVID thing, work-wise, and you're just playing tennis a lot, or is there?
No, we're doing a lot of stuff for the hotel. So the hotel is closed at the minute, but we got to do a lot of forecasts on when we're going to open and stuff, and just taking it day by day. We still have security, maintenance, and stuff like that at the place. So it still needs ran and stuff. But we fully, hopefully, early next year, we fully intend to open and getting back to what we things will be different, obviously. How you approach it, but all the stuff needs looked at, especially when you're the one looking at the numbers and whatever the deal is. So yeah.
So moving on from that, though, you've been here 7 years, and obviously you got the two little ones.
Yeah.
So what are your sort of maybe your longer term plans for you guys here, or we're not planning that far ahead at the minute?
Well, we definitely want to stay here until the kids finish primary school, and then we'll look at what we're going to do for the higher education and see what we're going to do there. I don't know, you go back to Northern Ireland, the schooling system's so good, but as an expat you don't get the higher salaries as per se. Plus we absolutely love living here. We've met a lot of good friends, and anywhere you walk you bump into someone, So the plan is, to be honest, to stay here, but if someone comes up with a job offer, money you can't refuse, then we'll
you'll look at
on.
it. Fair enough.
What about going to live in Jamaica? Is that not?
I think they're struggling as well. Even there, the jobs, the tourism industry, stuff like that. There, since all this happened. But even don't get me wrong, not one part of me wants to go back to Northern Ireland. Like I'd be like, it would be purely because of education type of thing.
There's always boarding school.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. But no, I like being around my kids too.
Yeah.
Like I go for a business trip in Bangkok, I miss my kids, so we want to stay here. It's a good life here, and I never thought I'd say that, but it's a lot of people, a lot of things going on, stuff. Work keeps you busy, and then the tennis, or like I popped down to Nando, for some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or up the Tiger. A lot of friends there, boxing, and there's still stuff to do, then the kids keep you busy, and then they just started a new school with your kids over at KIS.
That's me, not Russell, because Russell doesn't have kids.
Which they're loving, I thought I'd seen some of your dogs over there.
Probably.
Yeah. So you may not know that, but he's over there. He's everywhere. But it's been good. Hopefully though, it comes back and we can get back to business as normal, and we can continue.
Yeah. Well, I'll take a while, but
for sure.
We'll get there.
There's a couple of questions I want to ask you. And I'm not sure if this will work or not, because the last couple of podcasts hasn't really worked.
So no pressure.
No pressure.
Oh, yeah.
Who do you think, and I'm going to ask you two, who is the greatest of all time in boxing, and who do you think is the greatest of all time in MMA?
Mike Tyson and George St. Pierre.
Just before we delve into that, what's your view on Tyson's comeback fight? Oh, fair enough. Okay, that'll do.
I think watching those two guys, like Roy Jones just retired, so he can still move. Tyson, obviously, you've seen the videos, can still move. It's not like Chuck Liddell going back in after all the drinking, the drugs.
It's not funny watching Tyson's video. Fuck me.
No, but even listen, anyone that says like, I know Muhammad Ali was the greatest, but he was also the greatest because he did so much outside the ring, and Tyson also did so much outside the ring, but on a negative sense. But he was a stone cold animal. He was just.
I re-watched all his knockouts about 2 days ago.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah. And you've seen people are scared to get in there. Where Muhammad Ali, they're like, oh no, this guy just going to move and tap me around. And I just thought the scare factor. He was absolutely unbelievable. Huh?
In terms of sports person, it's Ali all every day they're waiting twice on Sundays. In terms of a sports person, and the personality that comes with that. Yeah. In terms of a fighter, there's no one, and there's better boxers out there.
And I'm also talking about the Tyson whenever he was that 5-year period where he was
prime
just,
Tyson.
Before he went to jail, where he was just an absolute animal.
And well, I mean, I've always said if he had the right team around him, he would have gone on another 5-10 years. And just.
I remember when he knocked out Frank Bruno, Bruno was obviously the legend.
Remember when Bruno knocked him out? out, nearly, right?
Well,
Put him down.
That was the second fight.
Second
he
fight, yeah.
caught him.
But
He
you know,
caught
when
him.
you're watching your hero Frank Bruno, you think he's the most amazing boxer.
Oh, I was
and
there
then
with you. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden
100%.
Tyson just comes and destroys
Cleaned him in the first fight, and then the second fight, Bruno caught him, and as a kid, the goosebumps.
Oh, yeah.
We've got him. And then he gets back up, and even Bruno's like, oh,
but he didn't knock him down. He hurt him. He just wobbled him.
He
wobbled him.
Yeah.
He still never knocked him
But
down.
the thing is, you wobble Tyson, and he goes, "Do you know what? I'm just going to
Yeah,
destroy
because
you
his
now."
legs are this size. Like, but yeah, he was like, no one would have. I think at some stage he just would have walked through Ali. I think so.
I think so as well.
But and then
in his prime, he was just a brawler. He was just a fighter. He wasn't a boxer.
no, his head movement, his hooks. I watched an amateur video of him, which is real time, just watching him hook a bag, and it was like a fast boxer's jab.
Yeah.
The speed that guy would hook at was just something you'd never
Tyson's
seen.
movement was underrated. His top half movement was just underrated.
Yeah, but also look at this. Joe Frazier, who fought Muhammad Ali and beat Muhammad Ali, you know, he was supposed to be that version of Tyson, but Tyson moved 10 times better
faster,
than and faster and explosive than Joe.
And he had the power of Foreman as well, right?
Yeah.
And then with mixed martial arts, John says is a good shout. I don't have much argument about that, Russell.
No, that's no.
No, the
I'll
reason
tap
why I
out that
say
one.
that is because I got big into my wrestling late, and he never wrestled in college. And he's literally gone in there, taking down Division 1 wrestlers at will, and it's just the most amazing thing to watch. And what he'd do to people, he was so innovative with when he fought Matt Hughes, just the stand-up was different. Where later on in life he understood the game. If you watch the champion now, Israel Adesanya, his kickboxing, there's so much the footwork and everything he does is just so different compared to let's just put our hands up and just throw a kick. Where George St. Pierre was throwing a Superman jab, he was already, in his karate and his flexibility was just.
But he also had a really nice character about him. He wasn't a
super
trash-talking
nice guy.
arsehole. He was just a nice guy that just wanted to fight,
Yeah.
And I think
I don't think he wanted to fight either.
probably not all
He
the
was
time.
he was terrified going in there. That's what he'd always say, and
There's a
that
great-
wasn't his
there's
You
a
thing.
kind of have to be in
But
some
yeah.
way, all right?
But when you're good at it and you're throwing in there,
If you go and watch the clip of him trying to trash talk with Matt Hughes, it's just hilarious. And he's like, "I'm going to beat you, but you're a great fighter. Good luck."
I'm not impressed with your performance.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
impressed with your performance, but good luck. I hope you
Yeah.
win.
But Matt Hughes was I used to love him, but if you read his book that came
Yeah,
out,
I did read his book.
what a tool, huh? Just a horrible human being. Like
Yeah, nasty
his brother
person.
beating up their father and all this
Farm
stuff.
boys,
and-
weren't they? I think,
Yeah, and
but
then
before I'd read his book, I was like, "That guy, he's just."
Oh yeah. Well, it was a hero story the way he picked the guy up and
Oh.
ran him across against Frank Trigg, right? But it was pretty unbelievable. Huh? But yeah.
What sort of things have you got on your bucket list?
Huh?
Take your time,
I don't know.
because the stunned silence works well on the podcast.
Make a comeback. Joe. Go to Africa probably. Safari in Africa, which I haven't done
Never been?
when the kids are older.
Okay.
We wanted to go there last year, but the kids were too young. They kept
Yeah.
telling us. But yeah, basically, that would be the only thing I've did so much, like whether it's sports wise or family wise. Like when my kids were born, just moving that love for what I was doing full time for that. I couldn't. There's not really anything out there that I really want to do. I'm just enjoying my. I guess bucket list would be just to continue with the whole father thing. It's pretty good fun.
Well, it's nice to see more men, fathers, actually at the school and picking them up and how you are with your kids. I've got a lot of respect for that.
Yeah.
As a dad myself, and see what you do with them, and kind of, it is cool to see.
Yeah, you got
It is
to.
cool
You
to
got
see.
to. I feel very sorry because I know a lot of really good dads that are pilots and they're stuck right now, or else that's their job and they have to do that.
Yeah.
Where and you spend that time away. Where I spent 2 weeks away, I think was the longest time for my kids once, and I looked like they'd grown up like over a year, and the different things they were saying and stuff like this here. You don't want to miss it, and it was really when I was finishing the MMA career and moving over into fatherhood. A lot of fighters don't. Where are you going to transfer them? A lot of them go into pretty bad situations or whatever, and just to move over, like when my son was born, it was just, I just couldn't believe. I've never felt anything like that in my life. And then my daughter came, and we've never had girls in the house, so that was another thing we'd never felt with in our lives. She's a whole bag of issues that we're like, we don't quite get yet.
Yeah.
But she's
Yeah.
amazing.
Wait
It's
till
her
she
birthday
starts-
today.
When
It's
she
her
starts
birthday.
bringing boys
Yeah,
home.
so shout out to
happy
Naya,
birthday.
she's 5 today. But yeah. So
No, it's
that
cool
was-
because our kids, Ashton and Isaac, are in the same class. So that was
Oh,
really
wow, okay,
cool
cool.
that
Yeah.
they've bonded together
Yeah,
and they've
yeah.
got to know each other. And now I've got someone who abuses me every time I go to school.
Yeah.
Always. Oh,
Excellent.
there he is. There he is. There he is. Let's cheer yourself up.
Yeah.
Chris, it's been a super pleasure having you on.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
That's
you.
been awesome. Yeah, thanks for coming in.
We were kind of expecting you to destroy us.
I don't think what you expected was to find someone on that speaks more than you guys do.
Oh, it's
And I
nice.
think I battled
I
it
think
out.
you did
today.
well.
And it's nice to see your guns.
Well, guys, it's hard to hide them.
Yeah.
That's exactly what
When
you
you're wearing
said.
t-shirts
It's
that
hard to hide
small,
them.
that's true.
That's why I was sitting beside Russell. I wasn't sure where you were going to put me.
No, just
So I'm in
I'm
the way.
We're having a gun show at the
I'm
moment.
in the way.
Bless
I'm
you.
in the way.
Thank you very much. You've been an
Thank you,
absolute
guys.
legend. Good luck with everything. Hope it all goes well.
Appreciate it.
And thank you,
Awesome.
Russell.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers,
mate.
guys.
Catch you soon.
Enjoy.
Welcome to the outro.
Hello, mate.
Hello.
Apart from being a little bit tired, how you doing?
Be better if we hadn't recorded this 3 times, that's for sure. This is the outro to the amazing Chris McDonald. We recorded Chris on Friday at Bake, and we're now on Monday back at Casa del Canine,
We
the
are indeed.
original studio.
That's a good
doing
pod.
all the outros. I like Chris.
I'm really looking forward to listening back to this because I don't think we really said much.
No, I think he was very good, but it was a very interesting story, and I know that I spoke to his wife over the weekend, and she said that, I hope you talked about him being a great GM and stuff, and I was like, yeah, I might have kind of taken it in the direction of fighting a little bit
we
more.
might. What, he works?
I know. I just have the passion. I've interviewed, or not interviewed, but I've talked to a few Muay Thai fighters and MMA fighters, and I find them really interesting.
Sure.
Just the mentality of it all, to get in there and do it. So I was kind of very interested, and he's a lovable guy, isn't he?
Yeah, no, I like Chris. I've got a lot of time. I'd never tell him that. I mean,
I wouldn't
you've
mess
got to
with
give
him.
Yeah.
He's huge.
Nah, it's all talk. He's just a cuddly teddy bear.
No, he's not. He will break you.
No, I
He's
know.
made of iron.
I know, but and that was the cool thing. I like the point that he was talking about when, for most fighters, it's not about the fight. It's not about, I'm the big I am. It's just about yourself and pushing yourself through to see how far you can take this yourself for you as an individual, not about what you achieve or what you do with it, which I thought was really interesting.
Sure, but there must be a point where you get to a certain level where you forget about how you can push yourself, and then it does become more of a, I want a title, I want this, I want the...
Possibly, but that's going to be sort of different people and what have you. And again, it's kind of morphed the whole sort of UFC thing over the years because money's become involved. We talked about this on the pod with, you've got some of the two fighters and they're giving each other the smack talk, and it doesn't really... Sometimes it comes across, other times it's just, it's fake, and it's just like, it's all bullshit.
I'll kick your ass, Russell,
Yeah.
because I'm so much tougher than you.
You're going to die when you get in that ring, man.
That's a bit
You're going to
harsh.
have to carry you out
Why
in a
d-
body bag, and
Why
and
would
then they
you,
finish the fight, they're all cuddles and loving each other, and
why
everything's
would you
great.
do that? You're the Undertaker from WWF.
Yeah.
Bit harsh. Anyway, I like Chris. He's cool. And he is a good GM. Let's talk about
Yeah,
that as
to be
well.
fair, he's a very good GM.
He's a very good GM.
Yeah.
No, he's a very... Do you know what I love about him is he's a great dad. He's a lovable guy. Really is lovable. And, we've been out and he's come out and he's just
It's just
fun.
good fun. Yeah.
He's a fun guy. All
He's
the
a nice guy
ladies
to be
love him
around.
because he's handsome and he's polite and he's nice.
And he's always got his shirt off.
And he's always got his... But to be fair, if I had a body like that, I'd probably take my shirt off and roll around in oil a lot.
And with that image,
There you go. My
we can
hairy
sign off.
back in the oil. We can sign off. We should just mention thank you very much to everyone who came to Phuket's Best Burger.
It was
Which happened Saturday.
awesome.
Yeah, over 2,300 people came. I don't know how many burgers were sold, but on average, let's say there was 32 odd burgers. Everyone sold about 100, so that's... Do the maths, Russ.
A lot.
Yeah, because I did the maths earlier with Russell. It went from 90,000 baht to 9,000 baht. Me and zeros don't really work very well. No, it was a great event, so thank you very much to all the support for everyone who came.
No, it was good.
awesome.
And again, like I said to you earlier, mate, it was really well done, well
Yep.
put together. It was just
Who
super-
organised
and,
that, Russell?
I did, and I try and keep it on the
I'd
low
just like
down.
to point out now, Russell did try to steal the event on Facebook on, was it Saturday night I posted?
Saturday night, yeah.
Russell decided that he was going to try to steal the event. So it's now called Phuket's Best Burger
And
with
Russell.
yeah. Or was it and Russell,
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
it?
So,
Bless
but
him.
mate, everyone... I spent an hour and 15 minutes. From the minute I arrived, I spent an hour and 15 minutes trying to get a burger. And I couldn't because every step I took, there was someone else. Everyone's like, oh, hey, how you doing? And I was just chatting with people the entire time. There was so many people there. B, everyone that was there was happy to be there. We're like, this is our great event. This is brilliant. We love coming to this. Everyone was just buzzing about it. So kudos to you for...
No, thank you.
rolling
And
it out.
like I said, it was helped that everyone who came really made it, because there was people that I hadn't seen for 2 years or so.
Right.
It was amazing. It was so good to see everyone together. Like,
Well, I saw you, and I haven't seen you for.
didn't see you for very long.
For a couple of
to be
hours.
fair. But there was one point I think I came down to you, and you were down at the bottom of the how you call it, the venue.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of just looked, and you said look up, and I kind of looked across and just went,
Yeah.
I'm going to say, I went, fuck me, there's a lot of people here. Holy shit.
Yeah.
No, it was awesome. Thank you very much to everybody. Bartcast is still happening. We need to talk about that, actually.
We do indeed.
We've got a few more to do.
Cool.
But make sure you listen to Bartcast. Just go to your favourite podcast supplier and just search the word Bartcast. If you want to be part of the Leshark and Friends podcast, you can like us on all the social media links, but the best place to go is
PhuketPodcast.com.
I don't know who we got coming up this week.
I've got a
Or
couple of
next week
ideas.
even.
I'll talk to you about that.
Oh, Russell's going to talk to me afterwards.
Yes.
Thank you very much for listening. Chris McDonald, great guy. Love him to death. Thanks, Russell.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. Bye.
Catch you soon. Bye.
This is Bartcast.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog.
Bartcast deals with just about everything dog related. Dog obedience, training, health, owning a dog behaviour and care and nutrition. Each week, your questions will be answered by professional senior trainer and owner of Canine Point Academy, Russell D. Russell, a professional member of the IACP, a registered evaluator with the American Kennel Club, and has trained thousands of dogs across a variety of disciplines. So you're rewarding the dog for barking?
So, yes, with the understanding, I want them to understand. I mean, for example, I could use the word speak. So speak, woof, woof, woof. Be quiet means nothing. I don't woof.
You just mentioned the term raw food. What do you mean by raw food?
So there's quite a big movement in some circles about feeding dogs a raw diet. So the philosophy behind it would be, dogs, generally speaking, don't sit around a fire and cook their food. They just eat the kill raw.
Is it better to adopt or is it better to buy?
It's a real dynamite question, that one.
If you're looking for professional training or somewhere to board your dog, either short or long term, then check out Canine Point Academy. That's caninepointacademy.com or go to Facebook and search Canine Point Academy.